Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our red letter study, where we've seen Jesus, up to this point at least, curse a fig tree, throw a mountain into the sea, and at the same time actually doing but one thing, and that's rejecting Israel. Now, what I should say actually is rejecting the entire religious system or the old covenant connected to Israel, all cast in the sea and cursed out. Well, that made the religious leader kind of fight back. Who gave you the right to speak like this? And of course, Jesus responds back. Not only does he challenge them, but that then provokes in them to challenge him right back with a few questions like we saw last time. Now we're going to actually backtrack a little bit this time around and look at something very provocative that Jesus says about these religious leaders. He mentions scribes, but we have to understand he's talking about all religious leaders. Hypocrites, to be precise. Now, this small speech, 30 verses, about hypocrisy within religious leadership pushed me to say, let's connect back to another text, well-known text in Matthew 6, the Sermon on the Mount, where he talks again about this religious hypocrisy. I want to connect it together and see a bit more of a fuller teaching on it. I mean, I could have looked at many other passages, of course, in Jesus' teaching, but I want to focus on these two for now, just to get a good idea of what is religious hypocrisy. So let's begin with this first little section, like I said, 3 verses, 45 to 47 of Luke chapter 20. And in the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, beware of the scribes, who like to walk around in long robes and love greetings in the marketplace, and the best seats in the synagogues, and the places of honor at feasts, who devour widows' houses, and for pretense make long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. If you ever wondered, a scribe was basically the scholars of their day. Their main task was actually to transcribe the old parchment, the Old Testament, if you will, back to new parchment, because people would break down much quicker than now. But even now, we see how people crumbles up and kind of gets used up after a couple of years. So their job was to make sure everything was retranscribed to fresher ones, and then again to fresher ones, and so forth. Well, as they were doing that, they were also studying and learning from Torah, so they could teach it. So those are the scribes. If you will, they're the great scholars of their day. But like I said, this represents all these religious leaders who, and don't miss these heart inclinations that Jesus presents by these verbs. They like, they love, they devour, and they make pretense of things. First, they like to walk around in long robes. What does that mean? Well, back then, to be able to work, you had to have short robes, so you could more easily move around and work. Those who had big, long robes were those who didn't have to work, because other people provided for them, or because they were rich. So they didn't have to do manual labor, so they had big, long robes. A good example is actually found with Joseph. Remember Joseph, his famous technical dream coat, right? The coat of many colors. Well, modern scholars have discovered that expression of many colors actually means more long robes, long sleeves to be precise. Sorry. And the idea being that Joseph was really presented by his father, this kind of favorite, to the rest of the brothers as the one who won't have to work, who'll be like the father. He'll be the one leading. While these brothers had to work, right, take care of the sheep, he would have the long robes that he couldn't work in, because he was the favorite. He's going to be part of the next leader. And that's the idea, that they won't have to work. Now, this is striking because according to their own Jewish customs, the rabbis could not have people pay them to teach. Now, rabbis did not get paid to teach. They had to have their own job. A tradesman, a trade per se. And a good example is Paul. Well, Paul, the rabbi, was a tent maker. See, the tent making thing was not something he discovered as a pastor or a preacher. It's something he had as a rabbi. The idea that he would work hard and teach. Now, this doesn't mean it's wrong to provide for leaders. It's just, at this point, you're seeing that they had a system in which the religious leaders, the teachers, were supposed to work, and these guys preferred not to. They liked the idea of not having to work. And we'll see how they got taken care of. But we continue with the idea of love. What did they love? Greetings in the marketplace, right? Great, elaborate appreciation and almost worship of them. Great rabbi, or if you prefer, good master, right? Like the rich young ruler said to Jesus. That was a common way of approaching a great teacher. Good master. They love that. They love also having the best seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at feasts. The place of honor we usually reserved for the most important people, usually like parents, like at a wedding feast, right? Your parents sit here. They wanted that spot. Even the rabbis would say that they should be honored more than parents. Literally, that's what they say in their writings. So we see what they love, right? They have this place of honor, this place of great appreciation. I can't help right now to think of, I'm sorry, but the Roman Catholic system, where they have these colorful robes and they want the best from people. And when you see them in the streets, you better kiss their ring and stuff. It was a horrible, it is a horrible system. It looks very much like what Jesus is talking about. But before you say, oh yes, them, even in the evangelical world, we see that. We see those who don't really want to work and want to be provided for in elaborate and incredible ways. I'm not talking about, again, just pastors that we provide for them for the way that they do. We're talking about people who want extravagance. I want the best in the best, so I don't have to do anything. I want my own vehicle to get me where I need to go, so I don't have to go to the airport. I want everything taken care of for me. And I want the best of the best from you. Man, does that sound familiar, right? And now we find out how to do it. They devour widows' houses. The idea probably being that these widows, right, these rich single women would be the one providing for them, providing a place to stay, providing food for them. That's probably why Jesus uses the idea of devouring, right? They just come and they take advantage of them. Again, now that it's wrong to help and care for people, Jesus had people taking care for him, women providing for him. But it wasn't something he was chasing after and wanted to take advantage of. I don't see Jesus living in luxury during his earthly stay, right? So there is a difference between providing what is necessary and helping people and blessing those who want to give and serve for the Lord. But that's not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about people who want to take advantage of. And on top of that, they pretense with long prayers, right? They're trying to show a great spirituality. We're going to see more of that with Matthew 6. A great, super visible spirituality, right? Think of the idea of people going to the Vatican to hear the Pope's great message or prayer. Or even think of Prophet so-and-so, an Apostle so-and-so, and his great decrees and prayers. I must have his decree on me. They have these pretenses of listen to how incredible my prayers are. And that's when Jesus says they'll receive the greater condemnation. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. We'll get back to that. Because now, like I said, this will bring us to Matthew 6, where Jesus started by saying this: beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Now this should challenge us because it seems to contradict another teaching from Jesus that said that we need to be a light, that our good deeds need to be seen by the world so they can look at God, so they can praise God for it. So he's not contradicting himself, he is just completing his teaching here. You aren't called to do good deeds and people to see them. It's not about hiding them. But again, what's the inclination of the heart in order to be seen by them? Right? Not in order they could see God through it. It's in order to be seen by them. It's all about them being praised by the people. We recognize where all the great righteousness and religious ability and great spirituality. Again, with these great long prayers like we just saw. They want to be seen. They want their reward now. That's what he says. For them, no reward in heaven. He's been a bit kinder here, right? Last time we just saw the idea of condemnation from God. Here he's just saying they won't have a reward because he's not talking to the same group. Right? The religious leaders, in the big sense, they were apostate. Here he's talking about those who are or want to be disciples. And he's telling them, if you're going to be that, and you're going to be practicing your good deeds so people can see God through them, be careful that this practicing of your righteousness, this effort to live out your faith, is not just to be seen by the people. And I can't help but, as many commentators mention, the people in this case would be other religious people, right? Other Christians can see how spiritual you are, how devout to God you are, how much you serve God this way or the other. Be careful not to do that, because you're disqualifying your great rewards. And now Jesus will explain what we are to do instead. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. I believe by now you know what the word hypocrite actually meant, the Greek word. Right? It was actors putting on masks. They're pretending. It's a great pretending. Now, that little expression, no trumpet, sound no trumpet, probably is not literal. There's nothing in historical information that tells us that they really had some kind of system. When you give, you can have people throw, blow trumpets to say like, amazing, amazing. It's probably just a saying, a bit like when we say blowing on a trumpet. I'm not walking around with a trumpet in my pocket. I'm amazing, people. No, I'm not literally with a trumpet. So it was probably, again, more of this notion of trying to bring attention to it, right? They want to be praised by the others. They want to be seen by men. It's all about the show, not the hiddenness. A hiddenness that's so close to God, it can't stay hidden. It has to be seen by others. Because a lot of what God calls us to do as Christians, it's good deeds that are serving and caring that can't necessarily be seen. But when they are seen, people can't help but say, where does it come from? This kindness, this compassion, this serving, where does it come from? Because it's not showy. But for them it was. And that's when he says, for the second time now, here's your reward. You get it here and now. God won't give it to you. You get it here and now. So if you want the reward not here and now, but from God later on, well, here's what he says last. When you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. See, this is how you do it. And we have to break it down because, again, I believe this left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing is an expression. It doesn't literally mean to be in such a way that nobody can see it. Right? It doesn't mean that if somebody discovers you've given a big gift to somebody else or to help a missionary, well, there you go, you've disqualified yourself. It wasn't secret enough. That's not rules that Jesus is setting up. It's, again, the disposition of the heart. If your desire is just to help and to bless and to care and to help, and it does get found out, and it wasn't your intention, you're still in this category right now. It was still done in secret. It was not to be seen. And if it's seen, it will just point back to God, who sees in secrets and exposes the secrets. Like Paul says to Timothy, that good deeds will be seen. And if they're not seen now, they will be seen later on, because it all will glorify God. So again, it's not about being so secretive that you can't let anybody find out. If anybody finds out in any way, shape, or form, you've lost it. You didn't do a good job. No, it's not. But it is about disposition of the heart. And recognizing that it is about honoring God. And if you do that, He will honor you right back. But man, we have a lot of people saying that that's what they're trying to do. I'm just trying to honor God. But when you look at what they're doing, it really seems that they're pointing right back to themselves. They got the long robes. They got the best seats. They're getting all the attention on them. And you don't want to judge hearts, but you can't help but judge what you are seeing by the fruits. That heart, one intention, wanted praise, And then he's getting his reward. She's getting her reward right then and there. Now, again, here he's talking to disciples about rewards, but we just saw that he also talked about those who put on a good show and ultimately get condemned. And that should scare us, because that could be us. That could be somebody you know, somebody maybe you like listening to, admire. They got a great show, pomp and circumstances, remarkable, incredible. Listen to these prayers, and they're just piling up the condemnation for themselves. So let's be careful who we really look up to, who we really admire and want to follow, and who we want to be as well. How we want to practice our good deeds in front of others. How we want to do it. In secret, so God can see, and in that be glorified, or in a way that everybody can see, and then you get your reward or your condemnation. On this note, be blessed.